The meeting of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon.
Present.
Director Jackson has asked to be excused this evening. Director Reza.
Here.
Director Zomber.
Present.
And Chair O'Halloran.
Here.
That's 4 present. We have a quorum.
The Chair will now ask the Secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so and asks that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. This meeting is also broadcast on the MPS YouTube stream, the link to which may be found on the MPS website on the upcoming meetings page. This evening's agenda items and attachments may also be found online on the upcoming meetings page of the MPS website. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si deseas escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al número 312-626-6799. Otra vez, el número es 312-626-6799. Introduzca al número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
Thank you. For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our Secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. For the sake of fairness tonight and to give everyone a chance to speak, the Chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Disruptive or disrespectful behavior will not be permitted. If it occurs, the meeting may be paused and those involved may be asked to step out so we can continue in a safe and productive manner. Thank you for helping us ensure a positive experience for everyone. And now, given that our focus this year is literacy, we have some help with our messages from one of our young readers. Chris is a 7th grader at Cooper School.
Welcome to tonight's committee meeting. The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public comment period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional comments will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record, like this: Tanya Jacobs, Jacobs. Written testimony will also be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, WI 53201-2181, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. As a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, or requests should be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. Also, no one other than the members of the board, designated staff, or those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees.
Thank you, Chris, for being tonight's reader. If you have a child that would like to read for the board meeting, send a message to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Now let's begin. There are several items that come each month as routine matters under a consent agenda. We will have one public comment period on consent agenda matters. After the public comment period, if the board members wish to ask questions or comment on specific items, they may set those items aside for separate discussion by the board. No additional public comments will be accepted after the initial comment period. Any items that are not set aside will be approved with one motion. We will not have formal presentations on consent agenda items. Madam Secretary, do any members of the public wish to comment on this evening's this evening's consent agenda items?
We do not have any speaker slips.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, I would like to set aside item 3, action on monthly finance matters. Are there any other items on the consent agenda that board members wish to set aside? I don't see any. So may I please have a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda items? Director Zomborg.
I move to approve the balance of the consent agenda items.
Thank you. Will the secretary please call the roll?
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the balance of the items on the consent agenda, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Before we move on, the chair would like to congratulate all the candidates recommended for appointment, promotion, or transfer. We celebrate this important step in your career journey and appreciate your commitment to serving Milwaukee Public Schools, our students, staff, and community. Now, Madam Secretary, what is the first item set aside?
Chair, the first item set aside is item 3, action on monthly finance matters. The recommendation is that the board, 1, authorize the purchases, and 2, accept the donations as listed in the attachments with appropriate acknowledgement to be made on behalf of the board.
Thank you. I just wanted to set this item aside, given that we have recently had some news about, potential deficits that we're going to need to address. And so I wanted to have just a little discussion about the report on monthly revenues and expenditures as attached. I thank the administration for putting these controls in place and bringing this information to the board's attention, to the community's attention, and I was just ask administration to kind of briefly walk us through it and tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing within this report to further just lock down our expenditures to make sure we're living within the budget as best as we can.
Chair O'Halloran, members, first of all, I want to thank everyone for their patience as we've endeavored to get us on a good fiscal path to make sure that our numbers are accurate and that we are counting everything. I want to thank Matt Chasen and the Office of Accountability for being a good partner and identifying areas that we need to continue to hone in as we work together in order to move forward. As you know, we've recently completed our 3rd audit in over 13 months. The district was back on 23, 24, and 25. And, that gave us a lot more information, but that wasn't the whole picture. So I have been saying all along that we need to dig into our contracts and make sure that we are looking at our obligations in our contracts. Particularly, I was interested mostly because of cost savings and what we could do in terms of limiting contracts. But recently, we wanted to make sure that we were taking a deeper dive. So our team is looking into all of our contracts, and I know Ms. Adamczyk is with us here and has been doing a tremendous amount of work to make sure that we take old contracts off the books, make sure that our numbers are clean, and we've been doing all of that cleanup. At the same time, my staff has been working diligently, department by department, around personnel and accounting for personnel. As you recall, in the governor's audit, one of the things that was identified was position control in our HR team and making sure that we are able to control for the positions that are out there, make sure that they have the right budget codes. We're doing a lot of that cleanup as well. So making sure that not only are the audits good and done, but we also double checking with our contracts, double checking with our personnel, so that then when we come back forward to you all, we will be sure when we come with any reductions or efficiencies that we have to make in order to meet the $46 million deficit that has been identified in the audit. Secondarily, the team has now identified as part of that several controls that might be needed. We'll be working with Mr. Chasen's office on some of those budget controls, as well as our budget and our finance office on some of those controls in terms of budget numbers, making sure that our bookkeepers have the right controls in place in terms of when they're asking for approvals, particularly for LTEs or other spending that we have to do. And then looking toward FY27, I just want to remind the board that there are several other pieces of work that are going forward in terms of correcting our overall finance department and our technology systems. So the first is just hiring in our finance department and making sure that we have appropriately licensed staff to be able to do the really hard work of the finance department and what they're doing in terms of accounting and budgeting. And then the second is to make sure that we are still continuing with our Power School partners and to make sure that our systems speak directly to the Department of Public Instruction so that they also have real sight on our numbers, and so that those are accurate and we are not getting validation errors. And then the third part is commencing some work that's starting to commence over the next several weeks on our HR technology and PeopleSoft system, because that was also in the governor's audit, and trying to look at our technology systems between finance and between HR. Obviously, a large portion of our budget is our people and our benefits, and so we want to make sure that we have good position control and good line item control, and that when we are coming to the board with numbers, we are absolutely confident that those are numbers that we can depend on and that we have working budgets to be able to support. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Nick Simram and Ms. Aicha Sabla, who are going to share with you some of the more details of what they're doing in terms of the budget deficit and also the controls that we're putting in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Nick Simram, Budget Director. We know that the work ahead of us is very serious as we continue to work through the corrective action plan and right the district's fiscal imbalance. One of the key steps to that is restoring and improving visibility on all of our expenditures, encumbrances, and budgets. This report is something that I am actually very excited about and very proud of. While visually we've made it so that it looks and feels the same that it has historically for you all, on the back end, though, it is actually tied directly into our system. And so this gives a live view of exactly what is in our financial system currently. We've modified some of the columns to even reflect the actual language coming out of our financial system. And so that gives you confidence that what you're seeing is right in our system and is live in our controls. Now, there's still improvements to be made, for sure. We are working to review all of the carry forwards, encumbrances, expenditures, and implement the controls contemplated in the corrective action plan. So as I will walk through real high level this report, what you see on the left-hand column is all of our rows for each fund as they tie to DPI funds. This was somewhat of a challenge because, as you know, we have historically not used the same account coding system as the state. And so as over the last couple of years, we have had to gradually walk our systems closer and closer to state requirements as anticipated in the corrective action plan. And so, for example, what you previously would have seen as our general fund or school operations fund is now being displayed a little bit differently. And so you see tied closer to the state's fund structure, Fund 10 and Fund 27. And so that would be our Fund 10, which covers most school operations, and Fund 27, which is our special education fund. Those two are included together because they're particularly intertwined in terms of both their activities look very similar, but also Fund 10 ultimately supports the special education fund with an operating transfer and subsidizes our special education services. As you continue down the left-hand column, you see our other funds. Now, when you look going from left to right, you then see the different budget versions that make up the ultimate working budget. And so in this case, you will see the fall adopted budget plus our carry forwards from the prior year, plus any adjustments made with board approval or board notice, depending on the policy thresholds that apply. And then the ultimate working budget, which is intended to serve as a control limitation. And so one thing to note is that the carry forward amount there's two kind of portions of carry forward. There's the $10,000 that you all approve for school budgets to be carried forward, but there's also the carry forward that is a result of prior year encumbrances. And so prior year encumbrances as potential obligations get added into our carry forward budget version, and then ultimately added to what you approve this year and to make up our working budgets. So as a part of our review, we are doing a deep dive into every single contract and every single encumbrance, and looking to look where we can reduce and eliminate obligations that have not already been expended. So we're hoping that you find value in this report. We, of course, can be responsive to any improvements or changes that you would like. We've been working with the Office of Accountability and Efficiency to implement best practices. And so thank you as well to Matt Chazen for that help and that work. And then ultimately working to implement the controls contemplated in the corrective action plan through the working budgets and ensure that we can have real-time monitoring of all of the expenditures. So thank you for letting me be the finance nerd that I am and explain that to all of you. We're very proud of the work, and like I said, we appreciate the collaboration with the Office of Accountability and Efficiency.
Thank you. Does that conclude administration? Okay, thank you. And I just want to give an example. So like under the working budget, you know, that number looks large, and so people might get the wrong impression. I just want to be clear that that is not what is anticipated actually being spent for this year. That I think the example that when we were speaking about it before the committee meeting tonight, an example would be, you know, maybe a multi-year contract that if it were in total 17 million, within 1 year it would have been 5 million, but 17 was what was presented. And so the number looks inflated. It also could be contracts that are not to exceed, but that doesn't mean we actually reach that limit. Very often we fall below that threshold. And so I just want to be clear with people who are looking at this that, you know, this isn't what we actually anticipate, you know, arriving at the end of the year with the expenditures. So if there's anything you would like to add to that, I just think it's important. I appreciate going into all the different budgets and the Fund 10, Fund 27, and I know that it's a really good time for some folks, but some folks need it to be a little bit even higher level than that. So.
Chair O'Halloran, Aisha Sava, CFO. You are exactly correct, and Ms. Adamczyk and her team, that is exactly what they have been doing, and it is a practice that should not happen going forward, but there are, yeah, like you said, there are many contracts that are like that, but they are also at the same time going through this whole list. In the last couple of days, they've gone over like hundreds and hundreds of contracts. So we've gone back to in the 2000s and everything. So there are a lot that are being closed out as we speak, but those are really good examples.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Director Halloran, Nick Sinram, Budget Director, your example is a perfect example. And in working with consultants from the Council of Great City Schools, we have done a review of some relevant state statutes. They don't actually provide, they're not quite on point and don't actually provide guidance. And so we then looked to GFOA. And so after kind of conducting that review and receiving that consultation from the Council of Great City Schools, we are working to modify what the historical practices has been at the district to spread those contract costs out over the multiple years appropriately so that there is a better understanding of what true obligations would be and what true anticipated spending is for this year. But the example that you gave is a great one and shows the ways in which that our system is showing the potential total expenditure, but not what is actually anticipated. And like I said, with working with Council of Great City Schools, Office of Accountability and Efficiency, we're putting together a way to kind of reform those policies and practices and provide you with better visibility and access to our controls as well as our expenditures. So we'll be continuing to improve that over the next coming weeks as we went through 430 contracts so far, closing out contracts as old as 2004.
Okay. So I want to thank you all for taking on this work and reforming kind of maybe some practices that shouldn't have been done in the past, and recognizing this was one of the budget priorities that you brought forward with SPB, kind of righting the financial ship. And so it's not just about reining in expenses potentially, but it's also kind of putting that layer, that foundation of really strong practices so that we have tight controls around our finances, so we don't find ourselves in this position again. And so I want to thank administration and Office of Accountability and Efficiency. Both of you have been really available to me as I ask questions and make sure I understand the information as it's being presented. So I just really want to extend my gratitude to everybody involved in this work. With that, I have asked so many questions and said so many words. Do any other committee members wish to ask questions or make comments or anything? It's totally acceptable if you don't. That's okay. I was not requiring that. If there are no questions or comments, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Herndon.
I recommend that, based upon the testimony from administration, that we move this forward with the fact that we're going to be making modifications soon.
So we move approval of administration's recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. Right?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendation, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, what is the next item of business?
Chair, we are now back to the remainder of the agenda. The next item is action on a request to amend the contract for behavioral reassignment seats for the 2025-2026 school year with Banner Prep. The recommendation is that the board approve the amended contract for behavioral reassignment seats for the 2025-2026 school year with Banner Prep.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Castelia, Superintendent. As you may recall, Banner Preparatory School provides an alternative educational setting for students in need of a more structured environment as a result of high-level behavior infraction, violating school rules and behavior expectations. The mission of Banner Preparatory School is to support students in developing the academic skills, social-emotional competencies, and behavioral strategies necessary to successfully transition back into their school community. As of now, the district currently contracts for 180 seats, and this evening the administration is requesting approval to modify the existing contract to add 18 additional seats, bringing the total for this school year to 198 seats. The increase will meet the full capacity Banner Preparatory has available to MPS. The administration is requesting your approval of this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay. I'm seeing lots of shaking heads saying no. So what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Zambor?
I move approval of the administration's recommendation to amend the contract for Banner Prep.
Okay. If there is no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation to amend the contract with Banner Prep, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 2 is action on a request to enter into a lease agreement with 16th Street Community Health Centers, Inc. at South Division High School located at 1515 West Lapham Boulevard. The recommendation is that the board approve this lease agreement with 16th Street Community Health Centers at South Division High School located at 1515 West Lapham Boulevard.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casalius, Superintendent. This item provides background on the proposed lease agreement with 16th Street Community Health Center to expand access to comprehensive health services for students in the broader community. Milwaukee Public Schools has an established partnership with 16th Street, including its work at South Division High School in support of the Cardinal Clinic and school's National Academy Foundation Health Pathway. Given the demonstrated need for accessibility, community-based health services, and the success of this partnership since 2019, the proposed lease agreement will allow 16th Street to continue providing high-quality, equitable, and culturally responsive care to students and community residents. I can say I toured this new facility, and it is absolutely beautiful, and the people who are in it care deeply about our children and the community. I'm requesting your approval of this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
They do not.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Reza.
Just a comment that I'm very excited about this. And can I put a motion in to move approval, administration recommendation to lease agreement for 16th Street Community Health Center at South Division High School?
Absolutely. Do any other committee members wish to ask questions, make comments? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Reza's motion to approve the administration's recommendation to enter into a lease agreement with 16th Street Community Health Centers, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item, item 3, is action on the request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and issue contracts to Alverno College, Board of Regents of the UW System, and Illinois Central School Bus and Lakeside Buses of Wisconsin. The recommendation is that the board waive Administrative Policy 3.09 and authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Casalius, Superintendent. I got to say that, finance stuff, not so much fun, but approving the 16th Street was fun, and this is another one for our sustainability plan. The waivers before you this evening are fully supported through grant funding. The requested waivers will allow the contracts to remain in effect for the full duration of the respective grants. The first waiver is for our professional service contracts for the training, supervision, and replacement of psychology graduate students through the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin System in Alverno. The other waiver is for Illinois Central Bus, LLC, and Lakeside Bus of Wisconsin, Inc. for clean, heavy-duty vehicles. These vehicles are fully electric, zero-emission buses that will replace existing gas-powered buses to reduce air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. Both companies will transition from gas-powered buses to these electric vehicles. Super exciting and super healthy for our kids. The administration is requesting your approval of this item.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
They do not.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? I see no comments or questions. Director Zomber, would you like to make a motion, please?
I would. I move to approve the administration's recommendation to waive Admin Policy 3.09 and authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments.
Lovely. If there is no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendation to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and issue contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 4 is a report with possible action on limited-term employees, July through December 2025. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. This evening, the board has provided with the semi-annual report of limited-term employees for the period of July through December 25th. In preparation for the remainder of this fiscal year, the administration has taken a close review of all LTE contracts and has implemented a gradual pause, approving only positions that are essential to ensure the successful completion of the FY26 school year. As we continue planning for FY27, we are working to establish more systemic process to clarify the criteria and purpose for which LTE contracts are approved. The administration is requesting your acceptance of this report.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to make comments?
We have no speaker slips.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? All right. This has been noticed for possible action, but no action is required. So we will just keep it moving because I see no comments or questions. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
There being no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.